Hi, everybody. It's Alexandra the Medium. I wanted to go live today and just, say happy angel birthday to my daughter in heaven, Brooke. Yesterday, it was 25-year anniversary of her angel birthday. And I was going to go on yesterday and I didn't, but it's okay. And I was doing some writing and stuff today, and then I kept hearing the song "The Rose" come through, and that was Brooke's favorite song. So I realized I needed to do this video. So here I am again. But I wanted to talk, how beautiful that song is, "The Rose," too. I guess I could play it really low while I talk because it is such an awakening for me. It was my daughter's favorite song. So when it opens my heart, but the song is so beautiful and it really fits with what I'm going to talk about here today, and the journey of healing, of self healing and self love, right? And so, of course, it's way too loud. But, like when we lose a part of ourselves or we're jolted into heartbreak for, it could be another loved one, whatever it is, but it awakens us a part of our heart, it breaks us out of the matrix for a bit, into the reality of who we are and how we're connected and a deeper meaning of, heartache and love, and that deep search begins when we are first awakened, that deep search for self love. And it's a journey, and I'm sitting here looking at it's been 25 years, and, it feels like a roller coaster ride in some ways, so many changes and so many little awakenings along the way that changed me as a person. Um, a lot of those things, and finally I think I'm getting close to at least finding the self-love. And part of self-love, for me is being able to share my gifts, loving myself enough to believe in the gifts, one, but two, to, believe that I can help others in this way where I share my gifts. And it's important, these messages, especially in these times of awakening and the big shift that we're in, it's all about getting to that, awakening our heart to love and doing the healing and letting go of all that darkness, that was not love, that was suffering and, trauma and all those things that we have to learn to forgive. And on this journey to, through the awakening and to ascension, it's the ascension of the soul. When the human form or ego, falls away, all we have is our soul, right? But when we learn to let that part of us fall away in the sense that we're just embodying the soul, and that's just who we are sharing, we're sharing that love and those gifts and just who we really are. But it's a long process to get there, if you've had a lot of trauma, and most people going through this deep shift of consciousness have had a lot of trauma. And that's what awakens them, when we're stuck in the matrix or the past, the way world's always been, and even the way that our bloodlines and our generations have always been. Once we start awakening, we want to change those things. But in order to change those things, there's this process that we have to go through. And that process is understanding,
Cole,
what
he's my miracle
what
child.
forgiveness needs to come. And the forgiveness sure is in this life. But, when we're working on this deep awakening, it goes deeper. It's in this life, but it's also connected to past lives. And so once we start unraveling, the pieces of our journey and understanding as we heal and as we do the forgiveness, many times we're going back into some of our ancestor stuff or past life stuff, and taking a look at, because we carry that, some say family curses, but it's family karma for sure, and it does go the 7 generations back. And the thing is, sometimes we have to forgive those people, and I'm going to tell you an example for me that has always been a trigger for me, and something that in this journey I've just discovered that I needed to forgive. And that was that my family, you know come from the South, and they in their history, were slave owners. And I was very always appalled by this, just because it was so cruel, and in my understanding, and I know there's been slavery throughout history, and that is an issue, but it's still the issue. But it really triggered me, you know. This racism that's come up has probably triggered a lot of us, in the sense that, in our history somewhere, we may have been slaves, we may have been slave owners. We have a collective part in what's happening here, in the consciousness, and of healing this consciousness. And so part of our journey needs to be to, for me, my example is I've needed to go to that place of forgiveness for my family, the generations back, because I do have triggers and judgments, and I've had past life memories of being a slave and being beaten, and that's a whole story. But it's something that triggers me, when I see people being mistreated, um, from other races, or just other belief systems. It triggers me, because I know that throughout history we have played different parts, whether you believe in reincarnation or not. Our ancestors, we carry the bloodlines of our ancestors that carry that trauma from the slavery, from whatever it was, whatever traumas it was, and just the past. We carry that inside of us. And so, in this time of great healing and change, when we start our healing journey, what we're doing is freeing our soul. We're freeing our soul for the ascension process when we heal all of our past, our generational stuff included. And so as we do that work, and it unravels, we have to go into it and, learn to have a compassion for those, even that, were these slave owners, because instead we hold that grudge or that trigger or that negativity by not forgiving them, whether, whichever part you are in, we still have to forgive our ancestors for the past, because we carry that with us. And in this time of healing karma and ending karma, we must go to that place of forgiveness, because it's within us. And at that point is when we begin to forgive ourselves, for not being perfect, and not being loving always, and not being kind, and truly not forgiving, in this lifetime, others too, and it's like we can never reach that self-love without, and the ascension of the soul, without doing this work. And so it is hard to go back and look at it, because you have to gain the awareness. And so for me in this circumstance, because it's bothered me forever, I have to go into it and, I forgive my father, because my father, that was his family, and he doesn't, you know, his age group or whatever, they don't have any remorse of this, which is fine, and it's not, I guess, their fault, in fact. But I don't like the thing, like, that's how, it was. And like, still the attitude of I'm better than somebody who's not white. I've seen that my whole life, and it's always, and he didn't, feels the same way about women. So, whatever that says, but, he's got all those issues of the, older white man from the South, right? And, they believe they are superior, and in turn, the rest of us who are not white and male, um, we are not seen as having the rights to be equal, to live our lives in the way we choose and that we understand, you know. And so those things trigger me, but I still have to find compassion in my heart for everyone, even, that situation, and I am working on it, and I'm trying to say, and believe that they did the best they could, but we changed that because we had the awareness. And the problem I see is that people want to erase history, so the awareness is gone. And I realize that it is the people who are still stuck in the past, want to hang on to belief systems that keep their ego belief systems, that the human form, hanging on to that survival, of the fittest kind of thing, and because if you are the fittest, you are, superior, you're the winner in the game, of life, I guess. But, that's not really the soul's journey. That's the human experience journey, where that's what's most important. All those great sayings, the one who dies with the most choice wins, and, we're supreme, and, or whatever these things are. It's all about money and who you are and the color of your skin or the way you think, or whatever. When the, but when you go through the dark night of the soul, and you have to heal everything within you that has been painful, and wrong in your life, the trauma and all of that. And then you have to do it, for your generations, what you're doing by doing this work of, of ascension, of freeing your soul, is you're going back and you're helping heal the past and heal the collective consciousness. And as consciousness spreads, the more healing that is done for those who are awakening and freeing their soul, of these things, these attachments and belief systems and all of that, they one person freed and raising to that vibration of the highest love and compassion and the energy, that the vibration that Jesus carried, because he was, he ascended and his soul was at the highest of high, vibrations, because it was pure love, unconditional love without judgment, and through the process of forgiveness and of letting go and, purifying the soul so that instead of hanging on to all that, the bitterness and, the wrongs, and the traumas and the anger and this person and that person and the differences, you know, a person who ascends their soul to freedom lets go of all of that and just holds that vibration of love when they reach that place. And so, and sometimes it takes a long time, you know, um, depending on the depth of, I get your family history or and also your traumas in this life, and but sometimes a huge trauma is what it takes because it's the last thing your soul can take before it crumbles and has to be healed. So and that's the jolt for me and the loss of my daughter. And as I look back on my journey, I recognize everything happened, and some of it was fated because it had to play out because of karma, and karma that comes from family history and other lifetimes had to be resolved in this lifetime, so it had to happen. And it's like, definitely in my life, those fated relationships, there was no stopping them. I remember The first fated relationship, obviously was my father, but the second, I should say, was my ex-husband that I was married to for 20 years. And the thing was, because it was fated, I mean, I met him and we were, he asked me to marry him 2 weeks later, and we were married after 6 weeks. I mean, but it was like I had no control there. I went through with it because I didn't feel like I could say no. And I could look at it, it's all just his fault because that's who he was. Not that he wasn't controlling, because he was. But but there was some faith there. And so, because that's the other thing, sometimes we beat ourselves up about our choices, like, could I have chose differently? Maybe it would have turned out differently, or something. But the truth is like when it's fated, there is no stopping it. It is just shoot, you're pulled to it. And it's the same with the ending, and every part of it, that I had to go through. I had to go through loss of my daughter. There were all, pieces of this puzzle that are put together by the karma and in my lifetime. But it's also about my healing journey. The karma is just overwhelming, that I went through all of that to start my journey of healing. But we were all connected in past lives and generational stuff, and there's stuff that had to happen to end this generational things that were happening, that happened in my lifetime and in my family's back, right? And even in my exes, and I won't get into his business, but it's how it is with the fated stuff. But it started my journey of healing. It brought in my gift of the mediumship. But my whole life I was a shy person. So it was hard for me to put myself out there. And now I put myself out there full blown here. But the fact is, that was part of my journey, to find the gift. But the 25 years that I've spent, since her death, working on myself, I've shared my gifts somewhat, but not fully, because I was still healing, and I really would share them, but I never was fully healed, of all my karma and past lives. But I've done, a lot of work since then, and a lot of work on the past life stuff, and the generational stuff, and the forgiveness. And I think I'm really close. I don't really hold grudges against my father or these other people in my life, because every part of it created me where I need to be, and the woman I need to be today to help people, you know, share their truth and, go on this healing journey to, heal your family going forward. Because as awareness comes, and we're getting so much at this time, so many people waking up and really taking a look at the deeper picture of what this whole human experience is, and really, we are souls, on this journey. And many of us in this lifetime, wake up to this quantum shift in consciousness, and many will, ascend their souls into, ascension and freedom of the human form, forever, into, and, become homo luminous beings like the masters. There's a chance of many people doing this in this awakening, and in this time we're called to be here. And but at the same time, more people doing the work just wakes up more people looking at their past life karma and their generational karma. And when it comes up dealing with it, if you know your history and some of these things, maybe some of the things that need to be healed, and maybe you dig deeper, or however that is for you. But it has been part of my ascension journey, because you can't just heal the traumas in this lifetime, and because you're connected to all of your past generations too, whether you believe in past lives or not, you're connected to the generations also. And in there, that energy has to be cleaned up because, it affects you and it affects your soul's journey, you know, into the higher vibrations. So that's been my process for the last 25 years. And I just, trying to, I've written some things, I'm going to keep them a little private, and I'm working on a book about self love and my journey to self love because, it's not, a lot of people, and maybe it is, I'm not on everybody's path, so I don't know. But for me, and for I think many who are going through this process, there is these layers of healing that, have to be done, to have your soul return to pure love. I know some people believe it's going to be in a flash, and their religions teach them, boom, you're gone because you thought this way, and I guess they'll find out. But the truth is, to purify a soul, it's not necessarily a religious guidelines. It's about going within, doing the healing work to forgive and heal the past. And we're talking generational past once again, and the past in this life, and to really dig deep within your soul, because you carry all of that from generations in the past within your soul. And so to get yourself to heal it, you have to forgive it. And so this work, at least on my journey, has needed to be that, and there has been so much trauma in the collective consciousness throughout, history. So when we come to this time where, big shifts are happening and karma's ending, we have to forgive it, and slavery is a big one, and slavery in all forms is a big thing, because there's slavery of all sorts of people in all sorts of lifetimes. And so, this is a big thing that we have to forgive as a collective, as mankind, to bring in the healing for that, for our souls, for those who, are ready to do that. And some souls are not going to be ready, and that's fine too. Um, there will be it's just like when the Mayans or the Aztecs or the Incas, when they ascended, there was only a group of people at that moment ready to do that, that had done the work to ascend, and they knew what needed to be done. But we're at a much bigger group this time in this process of ascension. And one reason being, I believe, is because of this being, by the indigenous people and the shamans, and this being the sixth extinction. So at this time, those will choose to ascend into the Homo luminous beings by doing the work of purifying their souls and returning to Creator, God, the universe, whatever you call it, the light, as pure love and pure energy. But that takes that, healing of the soul and cleansing of the soul through forgiveness and letting go of traumas, and really letting go. So much is a big part of it, letting go of the traumas, just bringing in the awareness and, going into forgiveness so you can free your soul. Now others, may not want that at this point, and they may not be ready. They, maybe on the planet as younger souls, but it's my understanding from my guides is that those souls will go into another dimension, and they will continue their journey to love. And it's just this continuous thing throughout the universe, as we do this human experience. And it's about gaining awareness of how energies work. And, as our souls, and, and it's this pathway to becoming luminous beings, as we first start out as energy from the Creator, as soul energy, and then we go through all this generations and lifetimes of gaining awareness until it's time to that your awareness has grown, that it's, especially in a time like this where the energies are going to be separating, those who are going to ascend and those who are going to go into this other dimension to continue. But because there's so many at this time with enough awareness to ascend, and, so that's a beautiful thing that we're here to witness, but I'm just trying to think of everything I wanted to cover in this, but this great separation and, just the healing work and how returning to love, but, I guess this is the last point that's really important to me to say is, it's returning, but first you have to return to self-love. And that's what this is about today, is like, for me, it's like returning to self-love and knowing me and knowing the love I have to share, that this is okay to share, and being okay, and, with doing the work that I'm here to do, instead of judging myself because of, my ancestors, or even, the trauma in my life. Sometimes when you've been abused or had traumatic experiences, it's very hard to believe your worth. And so, it's one thing, to have these understandings and start doing the healings, but then there's this deeper part, and it's about gaining the worth, that your worth is important, and that's part of self-love. But, if you've been programmed to believe, you don't deserve, you're a woman, your whole life you're told you're a woman, and women, you can't become anything, when you have a misogynist father, it's what you hear. And then you continue in a misogynist world, and it's hard to find self-love and to really get to that place, on your own, but on this journey, it's been a lot of, for me, a lot of individuating, and a lot of time with myself, and trying to work through my own traumas and heal them and forgive them and let them go, and it's, and then work through the karma, and, I didn't mention this earlier, but I will say this. I also, my other long-term relationship was about 10 years, and that relationship was fated too, and so the meeting was fated, and it was like almost instantaneous. I was like, I don't even know if I'm attracted here, but I think my soul is, and I was in this relationship for a while, but there was growth there too, and I have to look back at that too, and then heal that, because what happened in that love was, or that life, and there was love in a past life with this person and in this life too, but it was also fated. Like, we weren't supposed to, you know, we came together so I would know a love again. But on the other hand, it wasn't supposed to be just he and I. I was supposed to move to self love, and not being codependent with that love. Instead, finding self love and finding myself. And so that ended, but it was karmic, and that's okay too, Yeah, yeah, of course I was bitter for a minute, forgiveness, another layer of forgiveness to go through. But really, because I needed to have this time alone and find myself and find love for myself and know that it's okay to help and heal people and share my gifts without judgment of myself, because it was always a judgment, of myself. Am I good enough? Blah, blah, all that self talk that we do. But then it just started coming, and that's where I'm at. But I had to walk through all the other steps before I can really get to this place of self belief and self love. And, I'm just saying this because I think there's a lot of people probably who, are trying to get there too, and they may have been jolted in one way or another, and they're trying to wake up, and I just wanted to bring it up, heal your traumas, let the traumas go. Forgiveness is the key, In 2012, I did some retreats, and before the time that I was completely ready, of course, because I'm now ready to start this stuff up again. But they were the LFO experience, and they were love, forgiveness, and oneness. And I was in the middle of my journey there, but it still was helping me heal and helping me meet new people and helping me learn to trust myself and find out, still on my path of healing. And now it's like, wow, I was on the path. That's the sign, but you're never going to be completed on the path. But there does come a point in this process of self-love and ascension of the soul that you are able to share, and you're able to really bring back those fruits, that you want to share with others, and it's like that final level that you reach on your journey is when you come back and you begin to share, because you believe in yourself and you love yourself and know that you have a purpose and you came here to do this work and share your trauma and your losses with others so that they may understand how their crumbling can be a gift of healing and, reaching a new level within their selves and on their journey, and if they're on this journey to love, then they're going to help and share the message too, because that's how it works. And so, anyways, I just wanted to share that message and just, say to my daughter, Brooke, and she is around me and in one form or another. And she, she was, when I looked at her, I always like to bring this up because it's so powerful to me. When I looked at her, I always thought, because she just radiated love, and she wasn't like me, shy. She was out there and she would sing and she would dance and she would play sports and she wasn't afraid, and but she was loved, she wasn't abused by me or, and I gave her every bit of the love I had, that I wanted growing up. And then she was gone, you know. And so in search for self-love, I had to lose a part of myself and find it within myself. And that happens a lot with loss, So I just wanted to tell my story and tell Brooke, how important part of me you are, and I will always carry with me how much I love you, how much I learned, from your life and really from your death. And I thank you for, really sharing this experience of ascension with me, which is really what it was. A part of me separated again. And, I'm bringing those parts of me back to me through self-love and through forgiveness of everything that has happened in my lifetimes and life. Anyways, I hope this resonates with everybody. Just wanted to share it and, say how thankful I am for the journey I've had and the players that have played, in my journey, the petty tyrants and all. They've taught me a lot, about many things, and that's important along your journey, your healing journey too, and to forgive, learn to forgive. And sometimes it's forgiving the unforgivable just to return to that love, and obviously I'm still working on some triggers and things. We all are, but I'm a lot closer to self-love than I've ever been. So thank you all. I love you all. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your journey.